Alright everybody, this is Scott with the R.m.b Meaty Bone Zap. I wanted to come at you and give you a little tip or trick in honor of our Facebook group reaching 300 members and beyond, as well as our app downloads reaching beyond our 800 mark. So I just want to give you a little tip or trick here. Now, whether you're buying chicken, whether you're buying steak, whether you're buying pork, there's always pieces on that animal, on that hunk of meat that we as people just generally don't eat. In this circumstance, big pieces of fat. Now you can see here I've got a sirloin steak here, I got a sirloin steak here. Now I've completely separated the major pieces of fat because, let's face it, I'm not going to stick a big piece of fat in my mouth. Now, of course, if you were in some situation where you got stuck out on a camping trip and you caught something, you want to eat the fat because you need the calories, but just sitting at home, we don't need them as Americans, let's face it. So, what my wife and I like to do is we'll get our choice cuts of meat, whether it's nice chicken, steak, pork, again, what the heck ever, and I will completely separate the fat material from the nice, big, juicy pieces of meat. Not only does this cut down on the fat intake for us as human beings and make us a little bit healthier, but we can also supplement a little bit into our dog, cat, whatever the case may be's diet. So, this isn't a complicated process. You just got to be willing to spend a little bit of time on it. So what you want to do, you want a nice sharp knife. This is a Mora Bushcraft Forest. Any sharp knife will do the trick. You just want to make sure that it's sharp so that you can take off this fat without taking off that nice meat. Nice meat that we all like to eat. No fat in it, just cut into it and enjoy it. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make some light cuts right here on the edge of the fat. I'll turn this around so you can see it as well. This is right on the edge of the fat. You can even see the fat coming through here. You want to just cut through right down to the ground. Now I've completely separated this. There's very little actual meat content on this piece of fat. And I'm okay with losing that, because that's going to be a supplement to my dog's diets, my two white male German Shepherds, and I'm not going to take it into my body. As Americans, one of our biggest health problems is obesity. It's just a fact. We eat just crappy food and we eat a lot of it. So whatever we can do to cut it out of our lives and at the same time make our pets' lives a little bit better, you know, why not? Again, you'll see here this little kind of filmy residue in between the meat and the fat. This is really what you want to cut away so that you're not missing any of your meat. And you can get to that piece by grabbing your fat and kind of just pulling it, again, just pulling it away from the meat. See if I can get you a little bit better light here. We're just going to be pulling it away from the meat, and you can kind of see that film. This allows us to separate this fat without losing a whole lot of meat content. And this is why you need that sharp knife. If there's anybody out there that has questions about, well, how can I keep my knife sharp? I've got all kinds of butcher knives around my home, but I don't know how to sharpen them. You can go ahead and message me, send me a tip through the app. I'll give you a couple of suggestions, give you a couple of product ideas, and we'll get you taken care of. Now, in the case of a sirloin steak, we've got this fatty piece here in the middle. What a lot of people may not realize, because they never do this kind of trimming, is that this sirloin steak easily separates into two separate pieces, just like we did here. And how you do that is just like before. You kind of see that film going on. We want to kind of separate it, so just give it a nice little pull, and you can already see it kind of come apart on its own. We just need to help that situation a little bit. So what we're going to do is look at the side that has the most visually dominant fat. Take the lower piece and cut into it. You can hear, I don't know if you guys can hear it through the camera, but you can almost hear that film coming away from the meat itself. And again, this is where having that sharp knife that you maintain really is important. Now we've seen that this is already tearing apart. And And I haven't been cutting into the meat. You don't see any jagged knife marks here. This is purely just separating the fat from the meat itself. Alright, looks great. Can't wait to cook this up. And no, because I did it myself, because at home I separated this meat knowing 110% that when I cut into this meat, I'm going to have little to no fat going into my body and messing up that beautiful red cooked meat. So this is our lower part. It came off pretty easy. I could spend a little bit more time, be a little bit more diligent, and get this little bit off here. And it's not that hard. Again, sharp, sharp knife. I'm going to take it, give a slow cut, and it's going to separate. Slow cut, and it's separating. We just want to keep going like that. Alright, now I've removed that fat content. I'm going to put it over here in my dog's pile. And now we have this big, juicy piece of red meat that I don't have to worry about putting a big piece of gristle in my mouth with. Now we've got the bigger piece of fat here, and this is actually easier to get off. The bigger the piece of fat, the easier it is to get off the animal, because the more you have to work with and tug on, really. Again, this is going to tear away from the animal naturally. There's always going to be this film here, regardless of what type of animal that it is. We're just going to cut into it right at the top where we see the white stop. And that's where we're going to be able to really pull away. You can see that it's barely, just barely at the end of the fat going into the meat here. That's exactly what we want. And we're just going to keep going. As we cut into this fat, as we're separating it, we want to continue somewhat holding this meat in place and pulling the fat away. That way we lose as little actual meat content for us and give that nice fatty content to our pets. Beautiful. Again, just a piece of fat that none of us would have wanted to eat. We probably would have cut it off of our steak, set it to the side, and it would have ended up in the trash. Now it is a diet supplement for our pets. So just to review here, just for having a nice sharp knife, this wasn't expensive. You can get them even cheaper. This was about $35 online. You can get it about just about anywhere online, through Amazon or any other shipping place. We have 100%, well, not 100%, but nearly 100% fat-free slabs of sirloin steak for us, in some nice fatty content, fatty supplementation to our pet's diet. Thanks, guys.